guys, how's it going? Today we've got some beautiful perennials to put in the ground. They're also drought tolerant of crummy soil, tolerant of high pH. They attract all the pollinators and they're full of color for most of the season. So there are 3 different types of hyssop. Botanical name is Agastache or Agastache. I've heard it pronounced both ways. We commonly refer to it as Agastache in our region. Anyway, they're beautiful and they are all pretty much in bloom at the moment. Here they are. One of these I have shown you before earlier this season. This is meant to be Royal Raspberry. I thought it worth showing again because, I mean, look at this plant. It's massive. These look quite a bit different than the ones I planted earlier because, you know, clearly the ones earlier were a lot smaller. So this shows a little bit more what the plant can do in full color. It's really beautiful because it's got these kind of dark green leaves with a purple underside, which I love. And then we've got another one in the same line. So this is meant to be Royal Raspberry and this is meant to be Queen Nectarine. And look at how beautiful. So we've got that beautiful apricot color and then pink calyx. So even after these little blooms dry up and fall off, you've got like almost a salvia-esque looking thing left over. That's pretty amazing. I love it. This one has the same thing, pink calyx, which stays after the plant is done blooming, but it's more pronounced in this one, clearly, because the bloom is a different color. And then we have another one called Blue Fortune. And this one is just starting to barely show some color, but we'll maybe put a picture up on the screen, but the blooms get nice and big and they're blue and beautiful. This project has snowballed though. I loaded up the trailer earlier today and I kind of was driving around. You know, I was just deciding and kind of nailing down where I wanted to put each one of these varieties, and where I want to put the Royal Raspberry is near the Hebe statue. So if we kind of go through this magical weeping willow here, we kind of come upon a very neglected flower bed. And it's a very interesting light requirement here. I need to cut back some salvia. I had a blue spruce right here that did not survive, and I knew I wanted to put a blue spruce back in there, but a different variety. I think the first variety I put in here was a Fat Albert, which I kind of expected, you know, down the road I'm going to have to move some plants away because I think those get 15 to 20 feet wide. That's an enormous size for this space as I look at it. So I picked out a new one. That's how this is snowballed. I ended up at the garden center this morning and I picked out a weeping Colorado spruce called the Blues that tops out at a 5-foot spread at maturity. And here it is. Isn't that perfect to just tuck in? It's got the right kind of structure. We will have to stake it in order to really highlight the weeping structure of it, but knowing that it tops out at 6 feet tall, that's it, and 5 feet wide, I mean, that's going to be perfect for this space. It's quite a heavy root ball though. I'm gonna have to have Erin help me with that one. And this flower bed has been sort of neglected. I haven't really done anything in here this year because we were toying with the idea of putting a pond in this spot. I mean, we might at some point, but it's not going to happen here for a little while yet. And I know if we did end up putting a pond here, I would want an evergreen backdrop anyway. So I just decided I'm going to kind of clean this area up and start planting some things in here because I just don't want to see it looking tired anymore. So what I was thinking is tucking that weeping spruce right in here, which eventually will take this space up. But it's like the perfect amount of space. It maybe is even a little bit more space than it needs. But then I thought I could pop one of those Royal Raspberries here, and then like maybe do a swoop over here to the Russian sage, and it'll provide a little bit of a depth of color, and it'll kind of tie in that Winecraft black smoke bush there, and it gets plenty of sun in the afternoon. And then I think I'm going to come in with some things and do some planting in here. Not today, but today's project we are going to start with the blue spruce and the Royal Raspberry hyssop. Oh, hi Cheddar. What are you doing up here? It's usually Russell up here. Real quick, I want to run through some stats on each one of these before we get them in the ground while they're all together looking gorgeous in this big group. But like I said, they can take crummy soil. Once they're established, they are more drought tolerant. They start blooming about midsummer, about now, and go all the way through fall. They're zone 5 through 9. They like full sun. You can put them in part shade, but they'll perform better if they have full sun. They attract all the pollinators, so bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, and I guess now, I don't know this for certain, but they say they're a little bit more resistant to deer. So the Queen Nectarine here grows about 30 to 36 inches tall and wide. That's a substantial sized perennial there. They're looking amazing even right now. These are going to go into the south garden. And then the Royal Raspberry, a little bit smaller, so 28 to 32 inches tall and wide, just about. And then the Blue Fortune here grows about 2 to 3 feet tall and 2 feet wide. It's just interesting, the different structure. Like these have a much larger leaf than these over here. And these of course are much deeper in color, more of a kind of like a purple cast. And then these are a little bit smaller, quite a bit smaller. And this one here is a zone 3, 6 feet tall, 5 feet wide. We're gonna have to stake it so that it maintains more of an upright, which is what I want for this tree. If you wanted to let it, you could just let it like start tipping over. No two varieties or no two trees of this variety will turn out looking the same. They all take on a very unique growth habit, growth pattern, but we can help it along and kind of create it, like create a little bit of vertical interest if we want to stake, which is what I'm gonna do. Okay, now for the fun part. We're gonna go get these in the ground. I'm gonna go grab Aaron, see if he'll help me with this blue spruce, and then I will give you a tour and show you how they all look. I am very excited to get these in particular in the ground because, you know, we usually have a pile of plants that we have waiting for projects, and we just water them every day, you know, along with things in the greenhouse and such until we're ready to use them. These have been the biggest pain to keep watered, which makes me think that we're gonna find a fairly root-bound, maybe a root-bound plant because of how much growth they have put on. But yeah, we have to water these twice a day at least to keep them happy. We won't have to water them near as much once they're in the ground. Okay, let's get it done. All right guys, we got everything planted. They all look amazing. I love it. I love this evergreen being here. I really missed that element here, and it's just been kind of this forgotten area this year, and I don't like that. We have too many of those in our garden right now, too many areas that we're trying to, like, we have plans to, you know, button up and finish and do this or that too, but sometimes it's hard to get to those projects. So it's always such a treat when you can button up just even one hole in a flower bed that you've been looking at that has been kind of bugging you. But I got so dirty in the process of planting this that I had to cool down and clean off. It's been a couple of hours since we actually finished this project. Is this not the most perfect evergreen for this space? It fits it like a glove, like an absolute glove. It just is so pretty. I love the Royal Raspberry Hyssop right below, the grassy texture. I like, this is the Lemon Jade Sedum right here. And while we were doing this, I did discover that our drip is not working in this area properly. I think we're gonna have to rerun a lot of it because actually earlier today I came out and had to hand water sedum, which is a very rare occurrence because it just doesn't need that much water. So anyway, we're gonna have to rip up drip, the cats. We're gonna have to rip up drip and kind of redo this area, but oh my goodness. I just absolutely love it. It did take 3 tries to get it planted though, and that's why I got to be so dirty and I had to have a minute after we were done with this project. We got it planted and it was way too far forward, and we just decided that it needed to be scooted back a little bit. And this thing, it's a B&B inside of a plastic container, but once you get the root ball out, you can see, you know, the ball burlap, you know, in there. So we had already planted it, removed the burlap like its support system, and the root ball is kind of like a ball of clay almost. And once you get them all unwrapped, they're pretty fragile. You don't want to mess with them a whole lot. If you break the root ball, break that ball of clay, oftentimes your tree has a little bit harder of a time surviving and thriving. So we shaved off a little bit of soil off, like from around the back of the root ball, so we could scoot it back. So Aaron got to the front of it and was kind of gently pushing it with the shovel while I was back behind it, like all up in its business. And this is pokey, and I was trying to pull it back with all my strength. And then, so we got that done, got it planted, and in the effort to pull it back, we pulled it way too close to the rows. It was all the way over here. Like somehow it started here, and when we pulled it back this way instead of pulling it back this way. So then we had to shave off more from this side and scoot it over. It was a total and complete pain. Thankfully, it looks amazing right here. So again, 6 by 5. Isn't that gonna be perfect? And most everything else in here stays fairly, you know, compact-ish. Like the Winecraft Black Smoke Bush is a smaller type of smoke bush. It doesn't get very big. You can see the beautiful blooms. I've got a Royal Jubilee Rose I just deadheaded, so we'll get some nice like smoky pink blooms. There's Russian Sage in here, and then the Royal Raspberry Hyssop looks amazing. Started the drift here beneath the Morden Blush, kind of swooped it around here, and this is about where the shade starts. Now I did come in and I trimmed a little bit of the willow so we could see Hebe again, which does open up this space a little bit, but I'm going to, you can see I left the hose out because I'm going to have to water these by hand tomorrow because the drip isn't functioning properly, but we are going to rerun the drip system and run more in this space so that I can put some other things in front. And again, these grow like 28 to 30 inches tall and wide. This will get a little bit taller than that, so we'll have a nice stair step down to the lemon jade sedum here. And the others ended up out in the south garden. So here's the Blue Fortune Hyssop, a little grouping of 5, and there's really not a ton around it. We've got a Vanderwolf Pine, there's the Shawnee Brave Bald Cypress, there's a Desert Plains Pennisetum, and there's some Blue Baptisia back in here. But I just thought this would be a perfect one to add in because it gets quite tall. So what was this one, like 30, in the 30-ish inch range, and a 2-foot spread. So that'll just be a nice little drift right there. We'll have enough room to do a shorter layer in front, and then we'll probably do a larger shrub right in here and back behind. But I cannot wait to see these things broaden out and start loading up with blooms. I can see buds all over the place in these plants. And it's just interesting to see how much more upright these are, and they're not quite as like thick down lower. So it'll be fun to see the difference in growth habit. Oh my goodness, look how long my shadow is right now. Next one is right down here. I love being out here this time of the evening though. Queen Nectarine. Again, not a ton of things going on around it. There is the tree, of course, the Forest Pansy Redbud, looking absolutely beautiful. In fact, I thought that the apricot peach color of the blooms would look really pretty with the deep purple of the leaves of our redbud. And then we do have a Blue Shadow bottle brush right here. That's actually looking really good. They're really slow to break dormancy. I was worried for it, but it is looking nice. Oh, the light coming through this way. Now these get quite large, like 36 inches by 36 inches. So this will be a huge drift in the end. Like it will fill in this space and just be a great big mass of this plant, and it'll be a beautiful color. And again, I did leave enough space to do a shorter perennial right out front. There is one variety of Agastache over here that I planted last year that's looking really good. I thought I would show you. Oh, also I was just noticing today, look at this grass. It's called Blonde Ambition. Isn't that awesome? The seed heads are amazing. I planted 3. This one's just starting to produce its seed heads, and I don't see any on that one yet. Kind of strange. This one looks awesome. Whew, a little bit bright right here, but you can see, look at this right here. And like if I stand next to it, I don't know, it probably tops out at about 4 feet. I'm guessing maybe a little bit taller. Can't remember the variety name of this, but I just wanted to show you kind of what they can add to a space. So I've got this variety, which blooms purple next to the phlox, which I don't know if I'm loving how bright this phlox is. I'm usually a little bit more of a subdued color person, but I'm going to continue developing this bed to see what happens. We've got the Autumn Brilliance serviceberry here. The orange smoothie daylilies are just starting to bloom in this space. There's a lot of pretty things. Big old moth flying around the Agastache right now, finding a little bit of shade behind the Scotch pine. It's kind of fun to imagine this space, even in 3 years or 5 years. You know, once some of these larger shrubs and trees start to put on some big time growth, and these perennials even, I mean, some of these are a presence in the garden. Like, they are big and they are striking. I just can't wait to see it develop. And I know right now I'm pretty much treating, well, I have to treat this whole space like it's for full sun. Everything I plant out here is pretty much labeled full sun. I'm trying to push it on a couple of things like the Fall in Love Sweetly anemones, which are holding and looking great. But you know, it's a fun experimental kind of area. We will have to shift things eventually when trees start, you know, filling in and creating more shade, but that's how it goes of any garden space that you're starting from scratch. And, you know, I have to remind myself that we started this garden, like we started planting middle to late part of the season last year. Like last spring where I'm standing, all of this was a raw field. So it's pretty incredible. It's so fun to add perennials, which wasn't even in the plan. I was going to do no perennials. It was all going to be shrubs and trees and low maintenance, and I just can't do it. Got to have color and interest and experiment with fun stuff. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. It was fun working in a bed up close to the house, and I do hope to do a little bit more of that over this next week. So anyway, we will see you in the next video. Bye.